Welcome, everybody, to our podcast, The Tapestry of Your Life.
Do-do-do.
I am so excited. Like, I'm always excited, but I'm, like, extra, like, fired up.
You have to hear the so and see her face, like, light up. She got beams of light and fire coming out.
Yes. I have so much fun at church. Like,
Absolutely. I just love being here amongst people.
Right?
And hear the word, hear what God's doing in everyone's life. And just by being together, like, you don't know what you're going to say all the time, but God just pulls that up out of you. It, like, brings it to the surface, and then you're like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And, like, with church this morning, I mean, I don't know when everybody hears this when we're recording, but Sunday, February 4th, you know, I came to church and, like, we're having church before we actually, like, have the set time for church to start. And then you have more church after church. Like,
Yes.
There's no, like, set time frame. Like, as soon as you walk through the door, you can start encountering Jesus and the love of God.
Can you imagine Jesus is standing there tapping his watch? Nope, I can't start blessing you yet because the service doesn't start till 10 o'clock.
10.
No, he is ready to bless us all the time.
Exactly.
Yes.
Oh, I love it. So talking about love, that's what we're going to review today, is The Power of Love by Pastor Doug. And this sermon is from January 28th, 2024. So first thing is that I have written down is with 1 Corinthians 13, right? We know that that's a big chapter that focuses on love.
Yes.
And so verse 1 says, "If I were to speak with eloquence in earth's many languages and in the heavenly tongues of angels, yet I didn't express myself with love, my words would be reduced to the hollow sound of nothing more than a clanging cymbal."
Yes.
And it continues on, but the whole point is that, like, without love, we're nothing. Like, love is what operates everything. It's the motivation behind, like, speaking words and speaking light and everything.
Yes. Nothing versus everything. What do you choose?
Yeah. Everything.
Yeah. God makes it so simple.
Yeah, and I also wrote down, like, in heaven, like, we won't need to speak in tongues. Which, like, I knew that, but when he said it again, I'm like, oh, yeah, because it talks about, you know, like, certain things passing away or you won't need this anymore. And I'm like, that's true. Like, in heaven, we'll have perfect understanding and, you know, the wisdom, like, everything will be right there at our fingertips.
Yes.
Like, we're not, like, trying to battle through, like, the airwaves or anything like that.
It's going to be a total different life.
Yeah. So, like, the greatest love is, like, the greatest gift is love.
And the difference is there'll be no restraints.
Yeah.
We will just be able to live exactly how we're created with no resistance.
Right.
You know, even astronauts, you know, they get out of the gravity, that resistance, but they're still contained to their aircraft thing, their rocket or whatever it's called.
Right.
They're not totally free. There's still
And there's still
containment.
Objects flying around in space. So even if they leave, like, they don't leave their container, in a sense.
Yeah,
they're
contained.
spaceship. Because if they do, like, there's so many other, like, dangers out there. Meteorites or rocks or, I don't know, metal, lava, like, being thrown through the air that, like, they just stay in their bubble.
So God's powerful love protects us and provides for us without containment or restraint.
Yeah.
That's just beautiful to sit here and think about. I'm, like, feeling that freedom like I haven't felt before. Just imagining it.
I think that's why, like, my favorite, like, animals are, like, well, 2 out of the 3 are horses and eagles, because both of them have, like, a freedom mentality. Like, when, like, eagles, they just fly, like, as far as they want to go. Like,
Yes.
They don't feel restricted. I'll go higher if I want to go higher. Same with horses. Like, when they run, they're, like, just running in the fields until the field runs out. Like,
Right, and they just keep going.
yeah.
Yes, I agree with you.
Yeah, so
I absolutely do like the horse and the eagle for very much the same reason.
And I think the other one that I had was dolphins too. Like dolphins, because they were smart. I was like, like intelligent animals.
And they can sing.
Yeah. I was like, they make lots of noises. And they're also like they're just so happy.
They're
flipping
playful.
up in the air.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, so you got the land, the air, and the water.
Exactly. But they're all so free.
Yes.
Right? Like dolphins, they don't care what anybody else is thinking.
No.
Yeah. So the whole point of Pastor Doug's sermon, right, comes from 1 Corinthians 13:13, right?
I'm still off in my freedom lifestyle here.
Right? We know the scripture, but it says, until then, there are 3 things that remain: faith, hope, and love. Yet love surpasses them all. So above all else, let love be the beautiful prize for which you run. Right? So the scripture, faith, hope, and love, but love is the greatest of them all. And that's because hope and faith come from God, but God is love, and love is God. Like, you can't separate the two.
Right.
So that was interesting to me to think about.
So I'm still in space. And when you said that, God is love and love is God, they can't be separate. So this is the picture I'm getting. So the astronaut is free from the gravity and the things of this world. They're not really thinking about that because they're in space to explore space. And then, what do they call it that they're in? The shuttle or?
Yeah, space shuttle, I think.
The space shuttle. The space shuttle is like, in the comparison that I'm thinking, is like God's himself. And they're like love. So love's in God. God is love. And so the astronaut being in there, we are in God. We're in his love.
Yeah.
But because it's God and love, it has no human restraint. God, we can fly anywhere.
Yeah.
Which is that what happens when a person's translated?
They can go anywhere?
Yeah, they overcome the natural restraints.
Yeah. I think so. I think, like, you get so, like, into the supernatural, spiritual realm that, like, you're in another dimension, so the earthly dimension does not affect you.
Yeah, dimension, and love is described in dimensions.
Yeah. Because I remember hearing, like, so angels could walk through, like, a table here. But if there's a table in, like, the spiritual realm, in the dimension that they're in, they can't walk through that. So, like, the different dimensions, like, have an effect, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, I remember hearing this story. I cannot remember who it was. But he was, like, just walking with God, like, down the street or something like that. And he's just, like, it's him and God talking. He's not even really walking where he's going. And all of a sudden, he realizes, like, a bunch of people are staring at him. And he realizes he walked through the brick wall of a building, like, into, like, a mall. Like, he was not paying attention and just walked right through the building, like, into the entrance. And people were, like, staring at him, like, how did you just, like, walk through the... Like, he didn't even realize that he had done it. And I was like... Look how connected, like, I think of Enoch, right? I was like, how connected he was that he just kind of, like, walked right into heaven. Like,
yes.
Like, he was already there, but then caught up to him.
Yes.
I was like...
Yes.
When I heard that story, I was like, that's what I want to happen. Like, it gave me a good visual of, like, a goal to reach for.
Yes.
Like, where you can be that caught up in heaven that you just walk through every earthly thing.
Yes.
Piece of cake.
Exactly.
Yeah. I wish I was there to see, like, people's reactions. That would have been hilarious.
Well, if you're desiring this for yourself, then you will.
I will see the reactions.
Yes.
When I walk through brick walls.
Yes, absolutely.
Or any wall. It doesn't really matter if it's brick or not.
Right. Where you overcome the natural.
Yeah.
Because we are supernatural beings.
Yeah.
In a natural body.
That makes sense when people say, like, to save souls and everything. Because, like, the spirit is already saved.
Yes.
Like, it's already in us. What's getting, like, renewed and connected is, like, the soul realm. Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So what? We got one verse.
I was going to say, I can read another verse that I have.
Sure.
John 17:26. Oh no, I just have a whole bunch of scriptures written down all in a row. So
Okay, let's go for it.
John 17:26 says, I have revealed to them who you are, and I will continue to make you even more real to them, so that they may experience the same endless love that you have for me. For your love will now live in them, even as I live in them. It's kind of what we were talking about with, like, the space. Like, you know, God is love, love is God, like, one inside the other.
Yes, and what's standing out as an additional thing in this scripture is making God real to people.
Yeah. But the whole point is still to experience the love of God.
Yes. It's like
It's so
part
simple.
of the fruit or the action of love
Yeah.
is make God real to people.
I'm going to look it up. But there's a scripture where it says, like, love compels me to share the gospel.
Yes.
And, like, love, like you said, will propel you. Not, like, force you, but it's just like a propelling, like a forward motion. Like, because there's just so much power that you just have to go somewhere. Like, anything that has power to it is not just normally sitting still.
Yes.
Like, even for a car idling, they don't want your car to idle for so long because things happen when there's all that power happening, but it's not going anywhere.
Right.
Like, you could drive your car for hours and hours till you run out of gas, but you can't have your car idle for hours and hours.
Yes.
Let me find that scripture.
I have the English Standard Version of John 17:26. Yours said made real.
Yeah?
This says, I made known to them your name, and I will continue to make it known, that the love with which you have loved me may be in them and I in you. So to make God's love real, it has to be known. There has to be that connection. And I have written down in my notes whichever version Pastor Doug was talking from, which he often uses the Amplified Classic.
Yeah.
I have declared to them your name. So make known, declare, make real. So there's the three parts. We have to speak in declaration. We have to have knowledge. And that's how we walk in that as a reality. So that man that you were referencing, there was a knowing and a declaration, something that was being spoken in his walking with God, that a knowing and a declaration that made it a reality for him to walk in the supernatural realm on earth. Yes. I have 1 John 4:8 and 16, where that's the reference where love is of God and God is love. So that's another reference. That's 1 John. I know we were just in the Gospel of John, but that's 1 John, an epistle is what we would call it.
Okay, I think I found it. It's 2 Corinthians 5:14.
Okay.
Yeah. For the love of Christ controls and urges and impels us, because we are of the opinion and conviction that if one died for all, then all died.
1 Corinthians 5.
2 Corinthians.
2 Corinthians.
14.
5:14.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
But I just remember reading that and realizing, like, you know, because sharing the gospel can sometimes seem, like, intimidating, right? Like, just walking up to people and being like, hey, do you go to church? Do you know Jesus? Like, in my head, that was like very complicated and just like overwhelming. But when I read that, it was like the love of God like compels you to like share.
Right.
And I was like, oh, so all I gotta do is like walk in love and it's easy, you know?
Yes. It's like sharing water with someone who's thirsty.
Yeah. And that's the power of love.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody, for listening.